All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good today. Ugh. All right, I'm awake. All right, today we have jobless claims, unemployment, and more going live at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We have some news coming out. Bitcoin is under 90,000. It's at 89,800 right now. 450 million of levered longs liquidated in Bitcoin and other Bitcoin related assets. What's up, Eva, Lady Blade, Ray, BA, Steve, Brian, David. Good morning. And yeah, we got kind of halting applications for review for export licenses to Japan, according to the Wall Street Journal as well. You can look at like the here. We did break 7,000. Honestly, exactly what I said would happen yesterday happened, which yesterday, if you guys remember, I said I thought we might tap 7,000 and then come back down, and then reject it. We would test 7,000 and then come back down and kind of give some of it back, and then that's exactly what we did. If you look at the S&P 500 on this middle chart right here, we tapped 7,000, came right back down. A federal judge also rejected OpenAI's motion to dismiss one of the fraud lawsuits as well. Disappearing. Yeah, China's market regulator summoned 6 top Chinese solar firms, urges them not to coordinate on capacity utilization rates, outputs, or prices. But yeah, crypto is down. Markets are down. The S&P 500, if we take a look at it, is down on the day, of course. Most of these, Dow is down about 0.2 to 0.3%. Nasdaq's down 0.15 to 0.3%. Defense names are what's standing out this morning. So if you look at what's standing out, defense names, the president floated a $1.5 trillion defense budget, which sent contractors like Northrop, Lockheed Martin, RTX, and more higher in early trading this morning. So if you look at like RTX, it's doing well. Look at this move. You can see the move happen back here. You see some rises and this type of stuff. Palantir up big, of course, when defense names at 186.50 or so, 186.50. Markets are a little cautious though. Most markets are down. The S&P is down, Nasdaq's down, Nvidia is slightly green, SPY is slightly red, Dow is red. But we also have some other names that are green this morning in defense, mostly. Tesla's down. Nvidia is at 190s. It is technically green, and it did rise this morning. So Nvidia, if you take a look at it, is at 190s. Previous closing price is 189. I'm kind of short biased on the Nasdaq right now. I don't know what I want to do with this. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with this, but we do have jobless claims, unemployment filings going live at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We'll get a timer up for that as well. That's in about an hour and 10 minutes, give or take, hour and 9 minutes. Oh, I got that cool timer I did yesterday. Where's that thing at? Okay, cool. I have to pull it up wherever on sent it to me. Get rid of this one. What candle wick? This right here? I'm not sure. Dude, I wanted to short. Let's see if I can short right here. I'd love to short right here. Maybe add some to this. I might short some more. It looks bearish, but it also could easily go bullish. I think it's one of those patterns that could go either way, really. But we're right at the 200 exponential. Give it a chance. Made a little bit yesterday, I think. Wasn't a ton. And again, jobless claims dropped this morning. They are expected ahead of the payroll report tomorrow. We did have Eurozone inflation and PPI. PPI should have been negative 1.7%. Europe PPI data. We did have Europe unemployment data, I believe, well, if I remember correctly. Yeah, unemployment rate came in at 6.3% for Europe. Challenger job cuts dropped early this morning. The Challenger job cuts did drop. They showed up at 35,553,000 for Challenger job cuts. So it was less than last time. Last time was at 71,000 roughly. So a little bit better job data as well there. This morning at 8:30, we have jobless claims. We have import-export prices, non-farm productivity, trade balance data, and more. So we'll see what that looks like. And then again, tomorrow we have the payroll report. Non-farm payrolls come out for December tomorrow at 8:30. They're expected at around 66,000 is the newest update for that. And again, we'll see if they hit or not. But yeah, jobless claims today expected at 213. Last time they came in low at 199. I remember that. The last time we did have lower than expected jobless claims data. Yeah, lower than expected. This is gonna be about what? Here's a timer. I'm gonna have to fix it until jobless claims come out, but I do like this timer right here. But I'll have to fix it. Let's X shadow, make it cool. Title. $13,000 is what jobless claims is expected. There we go. I'm gonna put this in the corner for now, maybe a little small, but here's the timer. And oh, I'm gonna have to adjust this because I have to lead it a little bit now, I think. Get rid of some titles. My title is too long here. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this up, guys. I think this is a little bit clean. Right there. All right, got that up. Hey, thank you, Jim, for becoming a member. Thank you, brother. Yeah, all good. Will Tesla keep dropping? Yeah, Tesla, if we take a look at it. So I forgot about this trade here. I am red on this trade. But it's a small red. Might be able to add a little bit more to this, see if we come back down. I'll cut it after. I think 75 could reject it. It's the only reason I'm adding here is because usually I have my levels up, but I think this could reject it back down. We have this isolated low here at 50 as well. See what happens. I'm watching Nvidia also here, Palantir. Bitcoin again under 90,000. I'm watching 90,000. I think 90,000 is probably a big level. If we take a look at yields, well here. Yields are over the last few days. Yields are up a little bit this morning, but they're still flat from where they were yesterday. Here's where yields were yesterday. If you look at this for 10-year treasuries, 4.16. They're roughly right at the same spot at 4.165% right now this morning. If we take a look at the odds for rate cuts, yesterday we did get stronger than expected jobs data in some areas, but weaker than expected in a lot of others. Like the The ADP data was weaker than expected. All right, so we did drop a little bit. I'm going to scale some of this off now because I can. Now we're kind of flat on this position. We're only at 4x, so it's actually pretty. So yeah, and you can see the odds of a rate cut for this month have decreased all the way down to about 12% right now. There's 12% chance that we cut rates. Tomorrow's labor data is going to influence us a lot more. So I think tomorrow's labor data is going to be much bigger of an influence than anything we've had so far this morning. Do y'all prefer it in the left corner like this or on the chart so you can read it a little bit cleaner like this? Let me know which one you guys like. I could also put it in the right corner or somewhere else for the timer. Looking for the best place for the timer here. I think the first cut is in March. Yeah, I mean, if we look at this here for March, it still looks like we're going to pause in March as of now. So we'll see. Let me get out of live chat. Thank you for becoming a member, though, Jim. I appreciate it. Yeah, so it's still looking slightly high. Like, look. So roughly 60% chance that we pause again in March. Right? This is what the current rate is at 3.5 to 3.75%. So yeah, I gotta watch this trade now, see what happens. Start reducing my size at the very least. But as it breaks over 75, I'll probably just cut it. Yeah, I'm out. All right. Yeah, we'll see what happens now. We're over 775. Wanted to see if we rejected the 200 exponential. Didn't. But yeah. And again, jobless claims live. About an hour. No, about 1 hour at 8:30 Eastern Standard. First, you're going to see mega stablecoin volume increasing, and then rate cuts will start following what the Russian secretary said. Maybe. Yeah, I saw the defense budget. Palantir's up. Defense stocks in general are up. RTX is up. Palantir's definitely up. It's at 186s. Nvidia's at 190s. So we see microchip and some defense stocks doing okay this morning relative to everything else. A lot of other stuff is down, though. AMD's technically green on the day as well. A lot of it is bounced back from earlier this morning. Apple's red. Oracle's slightly red. Google's still pretty green. It's at 325s. Had a big day yesterday. Google went all the way to 326s yesterday morning. Applied Digital up 6%. Again, OPEC held supply flat in December as Venezuelan output fell. BlackRock also transferred over 2,390 Bitcoin worth 215 plus million to Coinbase Prime. Again, outside of that, news a little quiet. Again, we had news from China this morning. They're restricting exports from Japan. Coinbase got a big transfer to Coinbase Prime by BlackRock. ASML says thorough investigation has shown that none of the company's data was exposed. Again, Chinese market regulators summoned 6 top Chinese solar firms, urging them not to coordinate on capacity utilization rates and output. Yesterday, we did have the JOLTS report show up. So JOLTS report showed up yesterday at 10 a.m. It showed up at 7.146 million versus 7.6 million expected. So lower than expected. Previously, it was 7.449 million. It was revised to 7.67 million. So lower than last time. Lower than expected JOLTS job openings. We had ISM services data show up yesterday as well. It was stronger than expected at 54.4. And so, yeah, I think the services, which is more real time, services is from December. It's less lagging. That is probably why the odds of a rate cut went down even more from yesterday to today, is because services were strong. Ah, man, dude, I barely got faked out on that trade. It's all right. Also, MCHP, which is Microchip, announces the release of a custom-designed firmware for its MEC1723 embedded controller, allowed to support NVIDIA DGX Spark personal AI supercomputers. So I see that going on right now, but again, most of the markets are just waiting. Bitcoin under 90,000 is at 89.9 right now, so. Lockheed Martin is overbought on that news. Yeah, if you look at most defense stocks are up now. Whether they're overbought, I'm not sure. But Lockheed has honestly had a pretty big move since the beginning of this month. You know, for the last week, they're up from 480s to 540s. That's a pretty large percentage move in 6 days. Has to do with defense with Venezuela as well as the news announced earlier. But yeah. But again, the tone I would say today is kind of cautious ahead of jobless claims and trade balance data. Traders are more focused on tomorrow's data as well. It's the next big catalyst for like Fed cut arguments. And so we'll see if we get weak labor data tomorrow. NFP data drops tomorrow. Unemployment drops tomorrow. Expected at 4.5% as of now. Again, yields are maybe slightly higher, but still flat over the last 24 hours, reflecting some unwind of the recent rally in risk assets. Again, one of the big stories is Bitcoin back under 90,000. You know, a lot of optimism was had for Bitcoin once it pushed back up to 93 or 94, and now it's back down under 80s, under 90s at 89s again, at 89.7s. I'm still watching 90 very closely here, but I think maybe ahead of this jobless claims report, markets are going to be kind of quiet and nervous. If that makes sense. Here we get. $248 million levered longs. Defense stocks were wild yesterday with the president calling tops for what defense CEOs should be making, and then a few hours later increasing budgets. Yeah. Oh yeah, we get the Supreme Court decision tomorrow too. At this point, if we look at Polymarket, I forgot about this, right? If we look at Polymarket, the likelihood of maybe. At this point in time, there's a 25% chance that they're going to confirm the tariffs. Only a 25% chance at this point. And on Polymarket. Now, these are always subject to change. We can look at Cauchy and see if they have a little bit better odds. But yeah, at this point, the odds that tariffs hold is 25% right now. If I look at other markets, Cauchy has it at 29%. So it's not a majority of people thinking that we're going to actually get the tariffs holding. The question is, how do you guys think the market's going to react if they do reverse the tariffs? So if they do reverse the tariffs, I think we can go either way. There's an unknown element there where we're reversing a lot of economic policy that we've seen over the last, year. All right, so we've been shorting markets actually, and we're out. But I'll go back to the short. I just got in and cut. We made money on it, but a lot of people are like, hey, inflation might decrease if the tariffs go away. I think they're going to implement tariffs regardless. So even if they do reverse these, they're still going to, the administration is still going to implement new tariffs under different precedents and stuff like that. So it's not like tariffs are going to go bye-bye for good. We're still going to see them. They're just going to come back, and we might get renewed volatility from them, to be honest. We already kind of reacted to the tariffs, but I'm not sure how the market's going to respond to this if they do get reversed. You think markets have priced in no rate cuts? Yes. ahead of the labor data as much as they can price in no rate cuts this month ahead of the labor data. Now the labor data could change it. If we get an example of this is like if we get really weak signs in labor tomorrow, if we get like high unemployment and weak payrolls, it's going to increase the odds of a cut. I still don't think we're going to cut even if we get that stuff. I think they're at least going to wait a month after cutting 3 times at the end of last year. I still think they're going to wait a month even if we get weak payrolls and high unemployment tomorrow. It depends on how weak and how high unemployment is, to a point where I was considering betting on some stuff because, you know, I can bet 5K and win almost 1,000 from some of these bets on cuts. The odds might have gotten worse now though, but it got to that point where I was considering betting on some of the stuff just because I think we're not going to cut this month. I think we're going to pause personally. I might be wrong, not an investment professional. Do not copy me. I'm not liable if you lose money. But yeah. 70K. Yeah, we're at 89.6s. Bitcoin is still falling now. Get 89.5s. Low. Watch 89s as well. Yeah, Bitcoin under 90. It was done for 2026. Yeah, maybe, bro. I don't know. If they cut, it's a catastrophic event. Why? Why is a rate cut catastrophic? Again, I'm curious. You might be right. I'm not saying you're wrong. But look at Nvidia start to come back down here. So Nvidia is starting to drop. You could certainly be right. I don't know. If we take a look at like silver and gold, man, silver also had a pretty big correction from 82, which is basically silver basically went up to all-time highs yesterday. And here's the all-time high in futures from like December. Here's the all-time high test yesterday. So silver basically went right up to all-time highs to test it, and then got rejected exactly there and came right back down to 74s. Where it's sitting now. So both of these have experienced big pullbacks, gold and silver. Oh, I think you mean we're going to cut if it's a catastrophic event. Yeah, no, that's if it's catastrophically bad data tomorrow. Yeah, we might cut. I think the odds are low, but I think it's a possibility. I think with stuff like this, you never know. I think rate cuts are definitely, I think rate decisions, even with data, even ahead of data, is sometimes easier to predict than some of the other things. Like, I think rate decisions are definitely easier to predict than what the economic data ends up showing up as. But I don't think any of them are 100%. None of them are absolute. They can always change. So you just got to go into it with that understanding. But again, my guess here, my base case is that we're going to pause in January. I think that's pretty likely at this point in time. I don't know if I'm going to take any bets on it, but I think pausing is very probable at this point in time. Market is scared. Tomorrow's uncertain. Yeah, 100%. If other countries know they can tariff the U.S. and we can't tariff them, I'm not sure that would reduce prices. I think it would jack up their tariffs. Yeah, maybe so. It'd be a little lag there, though, but you might be right. You were going to risk 5K to only win 1,000? Maybe. I'm really not a big gambler. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to do it. I just think... I think the odds are pretty high that we're going to pause this month. And like... I think, I don't think those are bad odds for a pause, to be honest. I don't know if I'm going to do it. Again, I'm not really a big gambler. But I was playing with Polymarket when I was just looking at the odds for stuff. And so, you know. But again, I'm not really. Dollar's going to crash. It's better to default. March, they cut 100 basis points. But yeah, in 2020 is a different story. In 2020, you know, again, what essentially happened is lockdowns and all the craziness. And so they, in order to try to save the economy quickly, they lowered rates really, really fast. They also did quantitative easing. They also did, when they did quantitative easing, they dropped rates to almost zero. And, you know, there were consequences for doing that. But again, their logic at the time was that, hey, like we got to save ourselves from a deeper recession or depression. And so like let's bring rates down to almost zero, try to ultra stimulate it. And that's what they did. And then by 2022, inflation was at 9%. And so there were consequences for behaving that way. But I think the other end of the argument, and again, I always say this, people like to criticize them for cutting rates aggressively like that and printing like they did in 2020. But I think if they didn't do those things, it would have gotten much worse. And people would be complaining about that, saying they're not doing anything and they're just letting the economy tank. And so it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario in that situation. I think people are going to be upset regardless. If you could avoid a recession, I think it's generally good. But a lot of the inflation problems we're seeing now is also from that period of time. So inflation's not great right now. It's at whatever 3%, but 9% inflation, even for a small period of time, is really not good. And so you can figure out who was right in that scenario. Yeah, I don't bet. The last time I took any bets on anything like that, I mean, I'm not really. I think most sports bettors lose money. You got a lot of people selling picks for sports betting, and a lot of the people selling the picks don't seem to really understand it either. The only way people really genuinely make money at something like that is by genuinely like trading it like arbitrage, right? Or trading it using arbitrage, like actually trading it. Finding small slivers of edge and then using a lot of different examples of that to slowly create more edge for themselves. But if they're good enough at it, they'll get booted off the platform anyway. So if they identify somebody as like a good bettor, they get kicked off the platform, And so you got a lot of people selling sports picks that are just not good enough to get kicked off the platform, that are just kind of lying to gamblers is what they're doing. This is a different thing though. Like economics is, I think, much more predictable than sports. There's so much variance that controls things. But again, I'm probably not going to do it in either way. I'm curious to see if I'll be right though, but I'm probably not going to make the bet. Yeah, Palantir defense stocks are up. We do have a lot of Palantir defense related stocks that are pushing here. Here's PLTR, it's at 186.30s. Lockheed Martin, 536s this morning. And so defense stocks are up. Again, I think I went over it already, but President floated a $1.5 trillion defense budget. This sent Northrop, Lockheed Martin, RTX, Palantir much higher today. So we'll see if they hold leading into the opening bell. I think that's one of the stories as well. We got 45 minutes before jobless claims come out, but we'll see if they hold leading into it. I mean, investing is better than most things out there. It just depends on what we're looking at. Remember, guys, not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Be smart, trade smart. Don't guarantee. I don't guarantee anything. I might be wildly wrong about anything I say. Don't copy me. Some of the links are sponsored links. Don't copy me. Not an investment professional. I mean, it depends on what your definition of gambling is. Most day traders lose money. I mostly trade off of charts, but if I'm investing, it's fundamentals. It's charts and fundamentals, really. Like I'd prefer something that makes a lot of money that's low, that I can buy and hold long term. Is usually like a simplified way to understand what I'm doing. Low PE ratios, big pullbacks on charts, but generally a healthy business model that I don't think is going obsolete. That's one of the things of it. Like a lot of companies go obsolete because of technology evolution, and I don't want to get stuck in something that is negatively trending in that way. And so what's a good jobless claims number? Lower is better, higher is worse, right? So the jobless claims are how many people are filing for unemployment. And the reason jobless claims is relevant is because a lot of the data we look at is lagging, right? So like an example of this is yesterday's JOLTS report. So yesterday we did have JOLTS. The JOLTS report was from November, right? It's January right now, so that's lagging, right? It means it's older data. It's still relevant, it still moves markets, but it's older data. Now, jobless claims, on the other hand, is very real-time data. So the jobless claims report is a week-to-week unemployment filings report. How many people are filing for unemployment week to week? So this data is very new, it's very fresh, and it happens weekly. And so because of that, it's a little bit more real-time than a lot of the lagging data that we get, especially in terms of the labor market. Like even tomorrow's payrolls data is lagging as well. I mean, tomorrow's payrolls data is for December. It's now January. And so, but with that said, it's still a relevant report because it's still close enough to real time to be relevant, if that makes sense. So that's why jobless claims is important. But again, lower is better if you want economic growth and strong labor. Lower is better. It means less people file for unemployment week to week. Yeah, I think oil's interesting, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Nvidia lagging for half a year, a sign it's going downhill from now. Maybe, could be. I don't know. It might be. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't lower numbers mean higher rates for longer? Lower, yes. Lower numbers. The Federal Reserve, what they do is their job is to maintain balance, right? And so what do I mean maintain balance? Well, you know, certain things contradict each other. Can contradict each other. Not always, but certain things can contradict each other. The main things they're talking about is employment numbers, so labor, so how many people are working, and that contributes to spending and more. If labor gets too weak, right, then the Fed can step in and lower interest rates. The logic of this is by having lower rates, businesses can expand and hire more people and do all these different things because they have cheaper access to leverage. People generally start to spend more when they have lower interest rates, and there's a lot of reasons it contributes to economic growth. It can contribute to economic growth. And so if the labor market starts showing signs of weakness, the Federal Reserve will step in and lower interest rates. If the opposite happens and we have strong labor but high inflation, the Federal Reserve can do kind of the opposite. They can raise interest rates. By raising interest rates, it does the opposite. It causes people to have less access to leverage, less spending generally happens, less hiring generally happens, and less business expansion generally happens. And so it kind of pushes the economy down a little bit by raising interest rates, and that can kind of make inflation decreases, you know, as time goes on. The Fed has a dual mandate, so their job is to maintain balance between the two. If they really want to get desperate, they can print money and do what's called quantitative easing, which is them basically just creating online money and then buying up bonds and other assets like MBSs and stuff. But the consequence of that is faster inflation. You know, so they usually only do that in more desperate things like 2020 and 2007, and they've done it a couple times outside of that. Right now, I think they're keeping their balance sheet the same size. You know, so they haven't announced full quantitative easing yet, but they were doing what's called quantitative tightening that ended December 1st, which is them letting their bond holdings mature and then not buying more is basically what they're doing when they do quantitative easing. But they've stopped that now, and they'll probably start QE sometime depending on what the labor market looks like. But again, tomorrow's labor report in that context is going to be important to watch for. You know, we got tomorrow's labor report, and then next week we have inflation data. We have CPI inflation data. We have what's the abbreviation for the consumer price index, which is consumer prices, where consumer prices are. We also have PPI inflation and more next week, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But just to put this into perspective, tomorrow we have payrolls, unemployment. We have Kashkari speaking at 10 a.m. We have Michigan consumer sentiment, which is not the biggest release, but it's something, at 10 a.m. as well. And then we should have the tariff decision. Like, will the Supreme Court cancel tariffs? And then that should give us more volatility tomorrow. Tomorrow's volatility there is going to be really, really interesting to see what happens throughout the whole landscape of all that economic data, the tariff decision. It's going to be interesting tomorrow. Tomorrow's probably, we're going to see some movement tomorrow in markets. And again, we'll see what happens. Markets are kind of sideways right now, leading into jobless claims. We're going up from 775 down to 750 in the NASDAQ. Again, silver is volatile right now as well. Here's silver. Silver's made a big pullback from retesting all-time highs. All-time highs were like 82.60s right here. And silver basically came right back down. Tapped it, came right back down. So, again, jobless claims drop in about 37 minutes. It's not full on QE. It was repo, lady. But, I'm not mad at you if you call it QE. You know, I don't know if they're going to call it QE, but they haven't officially started it, is the point. Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of people buying Exxon and Chevron, and the logic is that, you know, Exxon, I think, is already established in Venezuela, but they're going to have less red tape there now, including Chevron. And so while, even though we might have higher output and we might see the price of oil decrease from this stuff, the companies themselves might do well. And so you see a lot of people buying Exxon and Chevron. I'm not necessarily mad at those positions. Do I think they're without risk? No, but I understand the trades, I guess. So. I'm in Oracle right now, but I bought Oracle much lower. My average price in Oracle, I think, is 186. And I also took some profit off of it. So it's actually, it's 182. My average price in Oracle is 182. And I already took a lot of the profit off of it already. So I'm just sitting on the rest longer term, I think. I bought Nike as well. My average price in Nike is 57s. Took some profit yesterday, right at the opening bell for Nike. And it looks like that was the right move. Look at Nike. I literally took profit yesterday here. Somewhere, I think it was somewhere around here. And that was the right move, apparently, because Nike dipped all the way down to 63s following that. So I'm still very green. My average price is like 56 or something on 57 or something on Nike. So I'm still good in it, but we are supposed to have more oil. Yeah, well, no, supply and demand. That's what I'm saying. So even the price of oil might drop because of higher output. It's supply and demand. You know, the less oil we have, or the more unstable it is in the Middle East or wherever you're looking at oil from, the more increases you see in the price of oil. The more output, the more supply that we have in oil, more stability we have in those places around the world that supply it to us and have it. The lower oil generally gets, right? But the reason you see some Exxon and Chevron shares going higher is because, again, there's less red tape now for their operations in some of those places. But Raymond, yeah, I saw the repo. Why TradingView silver price is lower than your chart? These are silver futures is what I'm looking at right here. So these right here, this right here is silver futures. The spot silver is going to be slightly different. I'm just looking at silver futures. Oracle's a good buy if you trust. Getting a deal January 14th. Maybe. Do you think jobless claims numbers will affect the market too much? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, again, you never really know. Some data releases are big, some data releases aren't. I think jobless claims is a more real-time look, and it's a good preview at what the labor market's looking like right now ahead of payrolls tomorrow and unemployment tomorrow. Jobless claims is always a little relevant because, again, it's more real-time. There's less lag with it versus like JOLTS yesterday, which was from November. So jobless claims numbers, there's just less lag with it. What is this range? It's sideways ahead of data. A lot of the time, my favorite time to trade ranges are ahead of big economic reports. Why? Because leading into them, you know, I'm not telling you to do anything, but a lot of the time you can short tops, you can buy bottoms, ride these type of trends up and down because markets are less committed to buying or selling. There's less volatility ahead of these reports because people start to slow down because they're waiting for the releases to happen is what it is. So jobless claims is not always like that. It just depends on what's going on in markets, but yeah, we're kind of sideways right now. Whitaker says the security of Greenland is going to be paramount. This is the U.S. ambassador to NATO. He said security is going to be paramount. Talked to allies this week about Greenland and the Arctic. Goldman Sachs traders expect tech stocks to continue their gains this year. Again, Goldman Sachs expects tech stocks to continue their gains. Venezuela raid by the United States draws concerns in Taiwan over defense. Opposition warns China may be emboldened by ruling, but ruling party officials push back. Yeah, I love the Dwight from The Office pawn. But yeah, honestly, news is a little light. Payrolls is the big main event tomorrow that a lot of people are going to be looking at. Yeah, all good, PP. Yeah, I mean, it obviously had to do with oil, of course. Yeah, Google, guys. I don't know if y'all seen last few days. 325s. Look at the NASDAQ dip back down here. So we might have the 8 a.m. scrum going live too. We might have the 8 a.m. scrum. Yeah, look at Google. Google, again, I saw Google start to push up yesterday morning, and it held its gains, and it's still up big. It's at 325s right now for Alphabet. So, yeah. Yeah, we got 30 minutes exactly. We might see some volatility at 8 a.m. Sometimes we do. This is almost too sideways. I almost want to buy this dip and see if we ride back. We're basically flat on the day. We got into one good short position here when we started to break down. We shorted the breakdown under this right here and wrote it down, but thinking maybe we do something like this, but I have no idea. We could just continue the super sideways choppy trend and break down. So, no idea what we're going to do. I don't know if I'm going to take it. I don't trust it enough. Yeah, we did see some precious metals. They're not precious metals. We did see some mineral stocks go up from the Greenland talks. And maybe I was wrong here, like I said, just break it down, but there's 8 a.m. right now, so it's now 8 a.m. exactly. We'll see if we hold. You guys red or green so far this week? I'm pretty sure I'm definitely green day trading. And stocks, I'll have to go look. Pulled back a little bit today in our silver position, but it's small. I'm pretty sure I'm green in stocks too. I'm not telling anybody to long anything right now. I'm not an investment professional, guys. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment, trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Oh, let me do a poll. I haven't done a poll. Give me some good options for the poll. I'll do a jobless claims. Does today's jobless claims go up higher or lower than the, what is it, 213K expected? All right. Does today's jobless claims go up higher or lower than 213K expected? Vote on the poll. Let me know what you guys think. Yeah, silver breaking down, gold breaking down today. S&P did break 7,000 yesterday. We thought it would. I told you guys I thought it would. I thought it would test 7,000 and then come back down. I'm not going to say I was right about that, but you know. I'm big this week, but I think I'm green from last Friday. Every day it's just going down slowly. Yeah, it's all good. Green is good. Small losses are fine, you know. Good job. I think lower in line with expectations. Yeah, last time we showed up noticeably lower. I think last time we were expected at like 220 or something, and we showed up at 213, so we were stronger than expected for labor. We'll see what we show this time, though. Supermicro semiconductors. They're flat on the day. They're kind of choppy. I haven't looked at this stock in a while. Again, this one was just too volatile for me to ever get in. Like, people were really hyped up when it was at 120, stuff like that, but I never really bought this thing. As soon as it did this, I was sketched out, to be honest, and I never touched it. It was just too risky. I didn't think it would hold. I thought the risks. You know what I haven't heard a lot about lately? Quantum stocks. Like, where's quantum been? I haven't even heard people talking about it anymore. You know, we had this big pullback. We're still up a lot in the past few years for quantum. Here's Rigetti on the bottom chart here. But quantum stocks, I'll put silver back up on the top. But quantum stocks have just struggled. They've slowed down. Less hype for them too. Here's Rigetti. Here's what, QBTS. QBTS is bouncing back a little bit, but I've had less hype. I've seen less hype around quantum lately. What is good for silver and gold in the data? Probably weaker numbers is better for silver. I mean, uncertainty is what makes silver and gold go higher. As well as, like, silver has a lot to do with precious metals and stuff, but it's not a perfect correlation in any of those areas for it. My S&P 500 index says its highs are 69, 560. Where do you see 7,000? Yeah, but the difference is I don't give financial advice. All right, but yeah, I'm looking at the S&P 500 futures contract. Tapped 7,000 yesterday. I'm looking at what's called the E-mini futures contract in the S&P, which includes pre-market. You look at the SPX. Yeah, you're right. I mean, SPX didn't technically hit 7. It's going to open up a little lower this morning as well. Yeah, I don't even know what financial advice is. All I know is I don't give it out. That's all I know. Yeah, I like Grok. Grok, you should have my back here. The problem with Grok is if you use the speed version, it's just telling you what you want to hear. It's just wild. I've used the speed version for Grok. You got to use, like, the accurate version. There's one that's accurate, there's one that's speed. If you use the speed version, bro, it's just spitting out nonsense. Just total nonsense. And again, a lot of AI systems do this, where they just start telling you what you want to hear. It's like, hey, am I going to win the lottery tomorrow, the next day, the next day, and the next day? And it's going to be like, yeah, you're going to win. Obviously, you're going to win, you know? It'll act like it's fact. It's facts, but it's not. It's just telling you what you want to hear. You know? AI is also not really good at querying things. I found a couple that are pretty good. But AI is not really good at pulling data from a lot of places. I'm fine. Like I like the AI that apologizes to you, where you're like, hey, this is obviously wrong. What are you talking about? And it's like, oh my god, I'm sorry. Like let me fix that for you. You got other AI systems that they won't even acknowledge they're wrong. You're like, hey, this is wrong. You said this, but this is really the truth. And then it'll say, this is the truth. You know, blah 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 blah. And so some of them will just kind of ignore the fact that they were wrong. Better apologize to me. When AI takes over the world, it's going to be mad at me. I'm going first, I think. I can respect the ones that apologize. Yeah. I also think it's good programming, because when it gets it wrong, you're a little frustrated. So, human nature, the apology makes it a little bit better. Again, Google's about to break highs right now. So if you look at Google, highs of yesterday are 326. Highs of today are 325s, 80s. So Google getting very close to breaking highs. This level seems interesting to me. We're very close to that now. All right, guys, we got 23 minutes left. 22 minutes left. Gold is still breaking down this morning. It's down to 44.26. Silver's breaking down as well. It's at 74s. Still falling here. Projected 75, whole dollar number. Low of the day is 74.12s right here for silver. And again, jobless claims come out live. Okay, so Fed Governor Moran confirms he is the most dovish dot plot. Sees 150 basis points of cuts this year. Reiterates excessive inflation above target is due to statistical quirks. He said, quote, when you strip out the noise, inflation is operating at about 2.3% according to Bloomberg. Maybe he's right. I hope he's right. I don't know. All right, guys. Moran said, I'm looking for about 1.5 points of cuts this year. Underlying inflation 2.3% could add about 1 million jobs without causing inflation. Yeah, so Moran could add about 1 million jobs without causing inflation. Google also says it introduces new AI features to Gmail. Yeah, with that said, Google's testing the highs from yesterday. Here's silver on the top middle chart. Bitcoin still at 89.8. NASDAQ very flat and choppy. Rejecting that 775 level, though, over and over again. So we'll see if these hold. But yeah, we got 20 minutes left. We did have some upgrades and downgrades. Google upgraded at Cantor, AA downgraded at JP Morgan. But again, Moran, which is the newest Fed governor, confirms he is the most dovish dot plot, sees 150 basis points of cuts this year, and reiterated excess inflation above target is due to quirks. When you strip out the noise, inflation is at around 2.3%, according to him. And this is on Bloomberg. Looking at the poll here, 61% think we're going to come in higher than expected. 61%. What is everybody expecting on Friday if the Supreme Court rules against the tariffs? I expect some volatility. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad volatility, but I expect some. John, do you play games, specifically FIFA? I play video games. I play Halo. Halo is like, I'm old. I'm kind of sad to see Halo might be going away. I mean, I don't think Halo's going away, but I think the newer generations play like Fortnite and stuff like that. I never got into Fortnite. All right, guys, we got 19 minutes. You know, inflation is quirky. It's not inflation. It's just prices are going up. Weird little quirks. Play World of War Classic. I never got into WoW. I didn't have enough time to play WoW. Like, I always wanted to be into MMOs, but I just never was. I never had the time. But yeah, look at the NASDAQ. So I should have bought the NASDAQ. NASDAQ back up to 775s. Again, Google at 326s. Look, there goes Google breaking yesterday's high as well. Look, so Google just tapped it, dragging the NASDAQ higher here. NASDAQ at 780s. You can kind of see the trend line here as well. We have like an increased trend line. Find me on Halo Infinite. I play Halo Infinite a lot. You might have played with me already. Depends on what you play. I liked Reach a lot. My favorite's probably Halo 3 though. Nvidia back up to almost 190 here, guys. Look at Google. Look at the NASDAQ push. It's at 780s here. Higher jobless claims good for the stock market? It depends. Higher jobless claims means more people are filing for unemployment and the labor market's weaker because of higher unemployment claims. Whether the market wants that is a different argument. You know, whether the market wants that is just a different thing. Well, why? Because higher jobless claims can contribute to earlier rate cuts, higher likelihood of rate cuts, weaker labor data, and more. So it depends on what the market wants right now. And I think it's kind of iffy to try to figure out what the market wants. I think a lot of people want rate cuts, especially like crypto and Bitcoin. They want earlier stimulus versus, you know, strong economic growth and stuff like that. They want more stimulus, right? So Bitcoin wants more stimulus. The actual stock market or the NASDAQ or the S&P or whatever you're looking at to gauge it is a little bit more nuanced, I would say. But yeah, it just depends on whether you want rate cuts or not. All the things failed to crash the market. Yeah, Supreme Court decision tomorrow is going to be really relevant. No, I had a GSR, Vegas. I got into fishing recently. Yeah, my daughter keeps calling me an unk. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's good or bad, to be honest. So again, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time is when jobless claims numbers come out. See if I can figure out when the Supreme Court decision on tariffs is going to be. Again, Google's pushing up. Silver's breaking down here. NASDAQ is higher at 25,780s ahead of jobless claims in 15 minutes. Okay, so the Supreme Court decision is set for 10 o'clock tomorrow. It's the first possible time a decision on the tariffs could be released, but the court is not guaranteed that the tariffs will be decided by then. So again, 10 a.m. tomorrow. Is when it's possible it might come out. It's not a certainty, though. It's not a certainty regarding the Supreme Court ruling on the tariffs. It's not a certainty. Again, at this point, we got about 25% chance that they're going to rule favor of the tariffs, like let the tariff stand. Only about 20 to 30% chance of that right now. There's a 70 to 80% chance that they're going to reverse the tariffs at this point in time, according to just markets. It doesn't mean anything, but yeah, that's what we're looking like right now. Here's a question, and it might be a little bit too political. Do you think the tariffs should stand? Yes or no? Put yes or no in chat. I'm not picking sides here. I'm really not. I think just for general volatility, I think we should just let them stay because the market's already reacted to it. And I think there's there's a chance that the uncertainty of reversing the tariffs short term could cause volatility. You know, I don't think it's certain, but I think it could happen. So most people think they should stay. Yeah, right. That's kind of how I feel. There's too much risk involved in shaking it up like that, to be honest. You know, and I think they're going to do tariffs regardless, and so it's just going to add more volatility to markets if we reverse them, and then they use another precedent to put them out there anyway. It's just too much volatility. I think we should just let them stay. That has to correct the market. We're too high, maybe. Yeah. All right, guys. 14 minutes. Yeah, I mean, Google's up a lot. Look at the 775 level in the NASDAQ. It's been holding really well. So we're watching this. And Nvidia's at 190s right now, basically one happening. Google is what's pushing up a lot of markets this morning, though. Defense stocks are up after the 1.5 trillion defense spending commitment. Boom. And again, tomorrow the Supreme Court decision is supposed to be at 10 a.m. Eastern time. All right, look at the NASDAQ hold here, guys. Wow. Yeah, Moran says, don't know anything about my future at the Fed. Yeah, Moran says we're still materially above neutral. Fed is running unnecessary risk to the labor market. We're still materially above neutral, meaning we're too restrictive. He thinks we could cut rates more and bring them down more. The goal is to get to a neutral rate, right? Not restrictive, not dovish, you know, not too low, but not like the Goldilocks rate is the neutral rate in the Fed's mind. And so basically what Moran is saying is that we are still too high for rates, that we could bring them down to neutral. Look at the NASDAQ push here, guys, ahead of this report. 25.8s right now, 25.8s on the NASDAQ. Big push here. Big push. We see the U.S. Energy Secretary Wright says balance can be had with China and Venezuela, according to a business interview. So again, U.S. Energy Secretary said balance can be had with China and Venezuela, according to a Fox Business interview. That just happened. And Google's pushing up, driving markets higher. We're at 25.8s right now in the NASDAQ, but we are pushing here for sure. We got about 11 minutes left. All right, guys, give me your last minute predictions. I did a poll here. 61% think we're going to show up higher than expected for jobless claims. 39% think lower. So again, 61% think higher than expected. You guys agree? Higher or lower jobless claims today? Again, remember, lower is stronger for labor, right? So lower data, lower jobless claims means less people filing for unemployment week to week. A bigger drop in Tesla today. Yeah, Tesla has been volatile. Tesla's been dropping. It was at $500 basically around the holiday. It's now at 420s. Yeah, Google's been ripping up this morning. It broke yesterday's high just now. It's driving the NASDAQ higher as well. Here, look at the NASDAQ push up. I had a jobless claims number. So Again, so the energy secretary said the president wants peaceful relationships with China going forward. U.S. will not allow China to have huge control over Venezuela. Balance can be had with China and Venezuela. Again, Google pushing up. We're at 327.50s right now. NASDAQ 25,800s. Bitcoin's starting to bounce back. Let's watch 90 here. But again, we have about 8.5 minutes left. See what this report shows. Again, jobless claims. All right, guys. So again, jobless claims unemployment, 8 minutes exactly right now. We're getting a pullback in the NASDAQ here. I don't know what I want to do with it. But again, we did basically get speeches. There's some quotes from a U.S. Energy Secretary regarding Venezuela and more. He said, again, balance can be had with China and Venezuela. U.S. will not allow China to have huge control there. President wants peaceful relationships with China going forward, and there can be commerce with China. Again, this is the U.S. Energy Secretary, which, you know, is relevant obviously with everything going on overseas regarding oil and, or, you know, and more. So, anyways, Nasdaq pulling back to 25,800s here. Google's been what's helping drive the Nasdaq higher. Nvidia is struggling to get over 190, to be honest, but if it holds here, I'm gonna put gold. Silver maybe up in the middle, Bitcoin on the right, and then Nasdaq on the left. Get gold start to rise. Gold at 44.40s. All right, guys. Jobless claims. 6.5 minutes. All right, let's look at what everybody said here. Lower in silver at 78 after that. Higher. Jobless claims are neutral. Could be neutral. Good shout. Higher. All right, guys. Here we go. Jobless claims. 6 minutes. Again, jobless claims, just to put this into perspective, expected at 213,000 today. 213,000. Last time they showed up at 199K, which are stronger for labor than expected, showing less people filing for unemployment week to week than expected at under 200,000. Yeah, again, here's the Nasdaq. Nasdaq's been ripping up with Google mostly. Google's been flying, broke yesterday's highs at 326s, now up to 327 as we speak. Yeah, whoever's arguing about tariffs still, I want you both to sit in the corner and say nice things about the other one, and then think about what you guys have done. You know, both of you guys got to say something nice about the other one right now. Let's hear it. Everybody's eyes are on you right now in chat. Say something nice. All three of you guys talking about it. I'll say something nice about the other one. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes left until jobless claims come out. 5 minutes left. Yeah, again, 4 minutes really, about 4.5 minutes. All right, guys. You guys ready? Jobless claims 4 minutes. See what we get. Four minutes. Hit the live button next to the play button. Also put it in 2x speed, guys. You'll catch up to the stream. Make sure you're real time. All right, guys. All right. We got 75 here for silver. I want to see if silver can get over $75. I think silver futures, relevant whole dollar number. Traders might be watching. Again, we have 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. You don't mess up my hair, okay? That hurts. Did y'all hear that? I love you. Have a good day. All right. All right, guys. Here we got 2.5 minutes left. 2.5 minutes left. No, I was giving my daughter a kiss on the forehead, and she said, "Wait, don't mess up my hair." And I said, "You don't mess up my hair." And she said, "Well, your hair's always messed up." You know, got me. Just got me. You know, I deserve that, I guess. Gold is the bottom chart right here. Silver's the top chart. All right, here we go. 2 minutes left. All right, guys, 2 minutes. Yeah. Those teenagers, man, they're on it. They know. They know. All right, guys. 1.5 minutes left. Last minute predictions, anybody? Again, they're expected at 214,000 today for jobless claims. 214,000. They drop in about a minute. All right, guys, remember, hit the live button next to the play button, put it in 2x speed. You'll always be real time. You'll always be caught up to the stream. Hit the live button, put it in 2x speed. We got a minute left, about a minute left. We did bounce right here at this level at 25,800s. Again, jobless claims are expected at 213, 214 today is what I'm showing here. 213, 214. Now let's prepare. Here we go, guys. 20 seconds. You guys ready? 30 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button, put it in 2x speed. We are here. Jobless claims unemployment. On. Expected at 213 to 214,000 today. 213 to 214,000. Some people have it at like 210. We got 15 seconds, 10 seconds really. Timer's a little bit early, so ignore it. Data's about to release right now. What do we get? Again. Here we go. Right now is when the data comes out. It showed up at 208,000, 208,000 for jobless claims. 208K for jobless claims. Again, 208K for jobless claims versus 214. Lower than expected. Stronger for labor than expected. Again, stronger for labor. Again, 208 versus 214,000 expected. Trade balance data also showed up just now, but 208 versus 214,000. Continuing claims were also higher than expected, though. So more continuing claims than expected. They expected 1.9 million. They should have been 1.914 million. But jobless claims 208 versus 213. They also revised the last one up a little bit to 200,000. Again, trade balance data showed up for October. It showed up at negative 29.4 billion, which was much better than expected, which means that we exported a lot more than expected at negative 58 billion. So again, we essentially exported much more than expected. And trade balance is imports versus exports, right? And so again, jobless claims showed up lower than expected at 208K. You can see this jobless claims report that just showed up right here. And we showed up 208, an increase of 8,000 from the previous revised level, which was at right around 200,000. The previous week's level was revised up by 1,000 from 199 to 200K. But again, better than expected jobless claims numbers here. Better than expected. I'll put this data up on screen. But yeah, this was better than expected, lower than expected. They expected 213, 214. We showed up at 208. It was kind of flat data, though. Some people had it at 210 expectations, and we showed up at 208. So it's pretty freaking flat data here, and that's probably why the markets aren't moving that much. Again, jobless claims 208 versus 210, 214 expected. They did revise the last one up slightly. And again, I will put this up on screen. There we go. So now it's all scrolling at the bottom of the screen as well for you. NASDAQ is not liking it. It's coming down a little bit. I'm sure we're going to see yields just based off of a little bit stronger labor reports. I'm sure we're going to see yields go up a little bit from this, is my guess here. Higher yields, interest rates and yields can follow each other. This is more optimistic for the labor market. And so, yeah, yields are up a little bit on the day at 4.167 for 10-year treasury yields. We might see the odds of a rate cut this month decrease a little bit more. They're already the minority odds, but we might see that go down even more. Yeah. So again, jobless claims weaker, less claims than expected, stronger for labor than expected, but it was very slight. It was basically flat data here. The market did react to it, and it's now down from the. You can see the NASDAQ starting to turn. Gold and silver starting to retrace. Bitcoin is pulling back because it means potentially less easing. Dang, gotta tell Bruce to be quiet, man. Stop barking, bro. Well, it's all relative to expectations here, right? So jobless claims is all relative to expectations. Now, they did increase 8,000. So we had 8,000 more initial unemployment claims week to week. The last one was at 200,000. This one was at 208,000. So we had 8,000 more unemployment claims initial unemployment claims week to week. But it's all relative to expectations, right? All right, guys. So the NASDAQ at 25,780s. It is coming down on this report. Yeah, they're probably barking at Savannah. Really, Savannah's a sweetheart, though. I like Savannah. But again, you can't see this data on scrolling on the bottom of the screen now. We showed up at 208 versus expected 210. They also revised the last one was at 199 prior. It's now at 200. So again, we had 8,000 more unemployment claims week to week, but we were lower than expected, kind of flat data. NASDAQ didn't like it, though. Yields are a little bit higher, and I think we might see unemployment odds decrease a little bit, or rate cut odds decrease a little bit. Yeah, again, jobless claims flat, basically. What did I just press, bro? Hold on. I pressed full screen to exit, hit escape. Bro, escape didn't work, dude. Oh my gosh. I don't want to hit the wrong button. It said press escape, it didn't work. Now I'm on full screen and I can't change it, guys. It's this big monitor here, so I can't actually see anything right now. Hold on. NASDAQ trying to rebound. I might short the NASDAQ if it hits 25.8s, but I also think we might get continuations. Bitcoin breaking down to 89.785s. 89.785s. Go. I couldn't remember if it was the F10 or F11 button. I didn't want to hotkey some weird thing on OBS. There we go. I'm back. All right, NASDAQ's still falling. Again, jobless claims showed up lower than expected, but basically flat. Basically flat. We did have import data come in, trade balance data. You know, because of the dynamic of the U.S., just to understand the trade balance data, right? Because of the dynamic, we're the United States, so we are not the biggest exporters. We import a lot of other countries' goods, specifically China and others, of course. And so generally, we have a much deeper negative number in the ratio because we import so much more than we export, which is what this data shows, the balance of trade for October. Again, it showed up actually much less negative than expected. It's still negative almost 30 billion, but they expected negative 58.9 billion in regards to, you know, the trade data. So what this essentially means is that we did export a lot more than expected, but we're still importing way more than expected. Again, Bitcoin down now, rejecting 90,000. So it rejected 90K, it's still dipping down. Yeah, this is Bruce. This is the dog that y'all hear barking right now. I'm sorry. We got company over. Treasury Secretary Bessent is urging more Fed rate cuts, according to CNBC, citing draft speech Bessent is supposed to deliver today. So again, the only missing ingredient are more Fed cuts for stronger economy. And this is according to CNBC. I'm not sure this is accurate, but according to CNBC, that's what they're saying. Yeah, Bessent is basically saying thinks that the only thing missing is more cuts. All right, guys. And again, jobless claims numbers weren't bad. I think leading into tomorrow's NFP report and tariff decision, though, we're going to start to see more volatility. I'm really, really curious to see what the Supreme Court does to tariffs. There's only about a 20 to 30% chance, as I've said, that we're actually going to, the tariffs are going to hold. And so we'll see what happens. But yeah, very low chance the tariff holds at this point, only 70 to 80% chance. And again, I've asked people what they think the markets are going to do. I don't know. I really don't know. I think we should keep the tariffs. I don't think we should reverse them. This is my boy Bruce. This is when he was about 7 months old, 6 months old, so he was smaller at the time. That's Bruce. I'm not saying don't come into my house uninvited, but don't come into my house uninvited. He's a good boy, though. Bitcoin is not liking this. Bitcoin wants easing, right? So Bitcoin wants like more stimulus, essentially. And so Bitcoin is not liking this. It's kind of a small move though, and the Nasdaq's kind of bouncing back. A lot of these moves, look at silver. So silver, the low of the day is at $74. Yeah, so silver's starting to break down. He's at 74.20s. 74.20s. Yeah, Bruce is pretty. He really is. They're cool dogs too. Problem is, I'll talk about my dogs too much to a point where it'll distract me. You know. Again, Bassett apparently is going to urge more Fed rate cuts, according to CNBC. Keep tariffs so small businesses keep suffering. I mean, look, I'm not political with it, right? I'm looking at what all of this has done to markets over the past year, you know, or less. But I'm looking at what this has done to markets, and I think they're going to find ways to implement the tariffs anyway. And so we can look at it really one-dimensionally and say, hey, you know, yeah, let's get rid of the tariffs. It'll help small businesses. They're going to figure out a way to implement the tariffs anyway. And that's just going to restart the volatility cycle, in my opinion, right? And I think you got to just let them stand at this point in time. But again, that's just me. And again, I'm not even being political with it. I'm very neutral politically. I agree with some of the stuff and I disagree with some of the stuff, certainly, that the current administration does. But in this context, I think the potential risks is higher by reversing them, you know, just in terms of market reactions, stuff like that. And so, but I understand both sides. All right, guys. So NASDAQ back up to 25.8s, 25.8s. A Malinois? No, he's a shepherd, I think. I don't know. He's not. I don't know. I got Bruce from some old lady that couldn't really watch him. It was too much for her. Markets don't like uncertainty, right? And I think one of the things reversing the tariffs could do is cause uncertainty. Nasdaq's starting to climb back up. So is gold. Silver bouncing a little bit. Bitcoin's getting back up there as well. So maybe the comments by Besson are making a little bit more optimism in assets that want easing and stimulus. We see Bitcoin starting to rise. They're against free trade. I mean, I'm a capitalist. Yeah. Hey, what's up? Thank you, man. How was that less volatile? Because the markets have already interpreted that. I understand your argument as well, you know, and again, less tariffs is going to be more green lighting for stuff, and I understand that. But at this point, markets have already reacted. I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm just speculating here, and maybe I'm wrong, and you can think I'm wrong, and that's okay. It's all love here. You know, maybe I am wrong. You know, maybe reversing the tariffs is a good thing. And again, I do think there's a chance that if we reverse the tariffs, markets love it. You know, I think less red tape. I get it, but I'm also worried markets panic and freak out. And so I think either one of those things is possible. We'll have to wait till 10 a.m., potentially 10 a.m. tomorrow. They think it's coming out at 10, but we don't really know for sure when they're dropping. He changed the turn of tariff over 5 times last year. No, I agree. And that definitely caused volatility. He pushed back the deadline for it as well. Certainly caused volatility. What I'm saying is that volatility has already been interpreted in markets. You know? So, again, I'm not really... To be completely honest, none of the tariffs affect me in any way, really. You know? And so I have my own bias. I'm just looking at what could cause panics in markets, and I don't want to see a huge drop if something like that happens. Although I do think markets have kind of baked in some of the reversal already. Again, it's only about a 70 to 80. It's only about a 20 to 30% chance the tariffs hold. But I think they're gonna look for other ways to implement them regardless, and so we're gonna see those things in it as well. It just might restart the volatility cycle. Is kind of where I am with it, but maybe you're right. I don't know. Bitcoin up to 89.9s. NASDAQ at 25.7s. Sideways here since this. We got 45 minutes until the opening bell. We will see what we get. But again, jobless claims basically flat. Import-export data, trade balance data was a little bit more positive than expected. It was still deeply negative at almost 30 billion negative. But a little bit more positive than expected. We also had challenger job cuts show up this morning. They showed up at 35,000. Previously, they were 71,000, and a couple weeks before this, they were at, what, 100 and something thousand, like the highest they've been in a while. So 35,000 challenger job cuts is not terrible as well for the labor market. I'm curious to see what, and again, you can kind of see yields have pushed up more. Yields did increase. They're almost to 4.17, or 4.18%, 4.18%. If we look at if we look at where odds of a rate cut are now, see what they're looking like. You know, I want to see what a March rate cut is looking like as well. Earlier, they were still about 56% chance that we paused again. Yeah, so these are essentially unchanged in terms of rate odds here now for this month. The decision's on the 29th, so we still got about 21 days, 3 weeks until this decision, but it's still almost 90-10 likely that we're going to pause rates. The only thing that might change that, the only two things that might change that are tomorrow's labor report, which is probably going to be the most influential thing in terms of this. I still think we're going to pause regardless, unless we come in just really, really weak, like super negative. And then in CPI inflation data next week could influence this as well, right? But I think the closer we get to the Fed decision, the less likely data is to influence it heavily. And so I think tomorrow's report is going to have a bigger influence than inflation data. Now, if we get like really high inflation, that's going to increase the odds of a pause. If we get really low inflation, that's going to increase the odds of cut regardless. But I think it's going to have less influence the closer we get to the Fed decision. Best data channel ever. Thank you, King. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you, Jackal. Yeah, Bruce is cool. I have 2 shepherds. They're good dog. All right, guys. About 40 minutes into the opening bell. Bitcoin back down. Hey, here's Rosie right here. Got her. Rosie, you're just the happiest dog ever. All right, ready? Sit, stay, stay, stay. This is when they were young, too. Come. Good boy. Sit. Rosie, sit. They're good dogs. Ready? Sit. Shake. Good boy. Shake. Good girl. All right. Ready? Bang, bang. Nope. Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Yeah, they were little. Bruce? Bang, bang. Bang, bang. Good boy. Good boy. There you Bruce is just too excited. There you go. Good job. Yeah, Bruce is just too excited. All right, guys. So, again, Bessent urges more Fed rate cuts according to CNBC, citing a draft speech. Now, this is CNBC basically saying they have a draft speech to it. But it's a pre-written speech, so I don't think the speech from Bessent is going to cause any volatility outside of what this initial quote showed, to be honest. I don't think we're going to get a ton of volatility regardless. Yeah, blue healers are cool. Yeah, Microsoft at 480s here. I'm looking at Microsoft. Microsoft has had big moves on the year, though. volatile though, but it's still up what 25% right now on the year, something like that. Or no, not quite. Microsoft's up like 15% on the year. Like Google again was pushing up this morning. Gold's kind of sideways here. Here's Google. Google's still at 327. It's holding its gains. Silver still testing the lows of the day at about 74. And the NASDAQ is pulling back a little bit from jobless claims. So again, jobless claims showed up here. And we are dipping down back from this. And so we'll see if we hold right now. We still have about 40 minutes until the opening bell. All right, guys. So yeah, kind of quiet now in markets. We had Treasury Secretary Bessent. We had jobless claims come in essentially flat. Looking at other breaking news, though, I don't really see much. They did revise last jobless claims up by 1,000, but that's not a big amount. Curious about whether I should buy the dip here. I think I'm a little red on the day though. Yields are basically at 4.18 or 4.818% right now. I mean, I don't think the odds of rate cuts have changed though. You guys think we're gonna get bullish or bearish action at the opening bell? Let me do another poll. 60% late votes probably coming in after the data release. Bullish or bearish opening bell? There you go. Vote on that poll. I was thinking about buying this dip, and now we just got a big pop. Maybe I should have bought it, but Bitcoin's still at 89,775. Yeah, I mean, you might be right, Skeptic Cash. Like I said, man, I understand the tariff negative effects on businesses. You know, I get it. I'm just worried about panic in markets ensuing if they reverse them. You know, and I think they're going to happen anyway. So the question is it better to reverse them and then have them happen anyway and you know, cause that volatility cycle again? Or is it better to just let them be if they're probably going to happen regardless? You know, that's the real question, I think. Like, we could argue tariffs good or bad, and I get the argument that tariffs can negatively affect business. I understand, and also cause some inflation. It's more so that if the tariffs are going to hold regardless, why reverse them just for them to be back? You know, and maybe there's a deeper question about, will the tariffs come back in other forms anyway? You know, and you know, maybe not. That's arguable for sure as well. 57% bearish, which is interesting. Usually bulls are a little bit stronger than bears, but it's like more people are bearish today. %, 57% bearish on the poll. All right, guys, we got the opening bell in about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Bessent says more Fed rate cuts are key to stronger growth. He said lower interest rates are the only ingredient missing for stronger U.S. economic growth, urging the Federal Reserve to move faster on cuts. Speaking ahead of remarks to the Economic Club of Minnesota, Bessent said easier policy would directly benefit households and support the president's economic moves. The Fed cut rates 3 times last year. Markets now expect fewer cuts this year. And I don't think they're going to be in January this month, personally. I just don't think we're getting that. Michael Saylor predicts Bitcoin will go up 30% per year for the next 20 years. According to Jeffries, disruption to Chinese oil flows from Venezuela is manageable. Any disruption to the crude imports from Venezuela after recent military operations is convenient but manageable, according to him. Venezuela supplies over half its oil exports to China. This represents only about 3% of Beijing's total imports. Greater pressure may come from debt payments. 30% of Venezuela crude oil to Chinese firms for loans totaling up to 60 billion since 2007, with about 10 billion outstanding. Bank of America also upgraded Coinbase to a buy, citing acceleration, product expansion, strategic shifts, and a more attractive valuation. They highlighted a 40% pullback from July's highs alongside improving second half product momentum. They pointed to expansion in stocks, ETFs, and prediction markets. Its base layer 2 network is key infrastructure growth drivers. The dollar index is higher following jobless claims data and last up 0.08%. So yeah, I mean, they're all kind of vying for the Fed chairman position, right? And so what they're all doing here, what Moran is doing, what Besson is doing, you know, Waller's been doing it, is they're all basically being as dovish as they can, basically trying to show the president, hey, look, we know you want rate cuts. We're going to be on your side here. That's basically what's going on. All right, guys, 30 minutes. And again, tomorrow's payroll, tomorrow's NFP report is going to be the main event of this week. Yeah, I think prediction markets are growing a lot. And so I think that's the next big thing in finance, as well as some of the prediction markets. One of the next big things. In spot, silver just cracked lows of the day. It's now at 73,885s for futures. So again, it just broke under 74s, which was right around the lows. Yeah, we're starting to see that. Holiday sales show up in the U.S. 2025 holiday sales at 294 billion, up 4% year over year. Salesforce reports influenced by AI and AI agents. Oh, that just now. But the jobs numbers bad? Not really. The jobs numbers were mostly flat. We showed up at 208 versus 210 or 215 expected. We also revised the last one up, which came in at 199. We revised it up by only 1,000 at 200. So really kind of flat data, to be honest. But it wasn't deeply negative or weak. It was actually a little bit stronger than expected. They expected 210 to 215, and we showed up because we showed up lower than the expected number, but higher than last time. Last time we showed up at 200. This time we showed up at 208, so about 8,000 more unemployment claims. Also, Revio Labs just said their total non-farm payrolls for December is at 71,000, which is down 9,000 from the previous one. I posted that in the chat as well if you want to check it out. Look at this rejection at 25.8 here. I'm still watching this level closely. Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see that going forward regarding prediction markets. I think we're going to see a lot of them going public. Yeah, I think that's just something that we're going to see. All right, you guys red or green today? I'm probably gonna start day trading. Some of these levels that I have on my charts have been holding. Look at that 25.8 level. Just a deep rejection here off of it. Um, would reject there. I was short at 90 with 804 stop loss. Yeah, that $800 level, just a big whole dollar number. You know, I think 26 is relevant too, way up there, but I think 26,000 is one we should probably look at. Look at silver still testing these lows. Silver down to 73, 75s right now for silver. Silver testing these lows again. Jobless claims. You can see it on the bottom of the screen. It showed up at 208. Applied Digital. Paramount basically reaffirmed their commitment to deliver superior $30 a share all cash offer to Warner Bros. Discovery shareholders. I don't think Paramount's gonna win this. You know, I know they're trying to go hostile and all that, but I don't think they're gonna. They basically need to buy up enough shares. And what Warner Bros. Is saying is that Netflix has the greatest chance of approval, and so they're basically saying, hey, don't sell your shares to Paramount. Warner Bros. Has got a better chance of getting approved. Used car prices month over month are up 0.1%. Year over year up 0.4%. CrowdStrike is also going to acquire SGNL, and OpenAI's Microsoft efforts to turn ChatGPT into a go-to personal shopper are off to a slow start according to the information. They say OpenAI is still working on standardizing and structuring merchant data. Stripe explored acquisition or acquired acqui-hire to boost AI commerce efforts. According to the information, people are still used to shopping themselves as well. I will dump 1% today, maybe. They actually had originally more bears than bulls. The bulls kind of picked it up though over the last few minutes. Now we're pretty split 50-50, but usually bulls are stronger because more people optimism is stronger than here, I think, in some ways, in long-term markets especially. All right, so U.S. Treasury announces United States' immediate withdrawal from Green Climate Fund. Again, Paramount reaffirmed $30 a share cash offer for Warner Bros. Again, only a 30% chance the Supreme Court rules the tariffs are legal tomorrow. And again, it's supposed to drop right around 10 a.m. We'll see. Or the lurker in the building. Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, tomorrow's payroll report is what I'm that's what I'm excited for. See what that looks like. Google's still pushing up. Google's almost at 328 right now. This is what's driving, I think, the NASDAQ, but we do have some stuff correcting back down as well. Nvidia back down to 189s. Didn't quite break 90, but Google's still slowly pushing up here ahead of the opening bell in 25 minutes. What we get today. Yeah. Diamond with XRP with the meat. Well, the decision's supposed to drop on whether they're holding up the tariffs, where they're confirming the tariffs tomorrow at 10 a.m. Look at Bitcoin, guys. Bitcoin now down 89.6s here. This 800 level still holding this down a little bit now, but look at Bitcoin fall right here. So Bitcoin's starting to dip. Snowflake announces plans to acquire Observe to deliver AI-powered observability. But how markets are reacting to snow. Snow is up a little bit. I don't know if it's gonna. All right, so Treasury Secretary again, Bassett, effective immediately. The U.S. was withdrawing from the GCF. Again, CrowdStrike is buying AI security startup SG&L for $740 million. Right, Google's still breaking highs. It's at 327.80s. Just broke highs of the day again for Google, up to 328s now. This might drag markets up short term if it continues higher. But again, Google is pushing higher here. It's at 328.01. With a big pop, let's see, holds. Yeah, we're gonna do the opening bell. We can do another poll later. Look at Google, guys, 328.30s. Google's still ripping this morning. Yeah, if you want to help support the channel, check out Top Step. There's no PDT roll in futures, so it gets you around the PDT roll. Great way to learn when most day traders lose money. No PDT roll in futures. You can day trade the S&P, Dow, Russell, gold, commodities. It's a great way to learn. I'll put the link up. They are a sponsor of mine. I am biased. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. You can check them out here. I'll pin it to the top of the chat as well. I'll say Alphabet from now on. If it's activating runs, I'll say Alphabet. But look at Alphabet, 328s right now. 328s. Let's see if 25,800 holds on the NASDAQ. Silver still testing lows at 73.60s. So, silver and gold still struggling to hold. Yeah, the PDT rule should change sometime soon. I'm not sure when. Expected sometime this year, though, for SEC final approval, but you really got to wait for final SEC first. You got FINRA approval, you need the SEC approval now. All right, look at Google still pushing up, guys. 329s. 8 green candles in a row here. Oh. Yeah. All right, guys. Opening bell in about 20 minutes here. NASDAQ's now back under 25.8. All right, so we're at 25.8s. Look at Google 329s here, 320. Again, we're 50-50 exactly split out of over 200 votes on the poll for bullish or bearish at the opening bell. It kind of shows you how split people are. Look at Google, guys, 329s right now. Again, we can look at Nvidia. There's silver. We get Nvidia at 189.60s. So Nvidia's struggling to hold, but it's already green on the day on the defense. Meta. Yeah, I mean, I'm in Meta still at 600s. At 603.60s is my entry on Meta. I've already taken a lot of profit though, so I'm mostly flat on Meta. I got a little bitty position. But I'm still in it, and I don't know what Meta's gonna do short term. I like it long term, but short term, you know, it had some big pullbacks late last year. 700s at 650s now, so see if it holds. Depends on what happens in markets. NASDAQ still creeping higher here. Alphabet up to 329s. Silver bouncing back a little bit, and Bitcoin bouncing back a little bit ahead of the opening bell. We got 19 minutes into the open. Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not an investment professional. That stuff. All right, guys. Here we get. Looking at other news here online. EU is discussing potential U.S. threat over Greenland. The EU foreign policy chief said member states have discussed whether the president's comments about taking over Greenland represent a real threat and how the bloc would respond. She called the remarks extremely concerning and warned they undermine global stability. They stressed EU's firm commitment to protecting natural sovereignty and territorial integrity, emphasizing the adherence to international law is essential to safeguard smaller countries. Silver bouncing back though. Let's see if 25,800s holds here. I'm not really trading a lot. I think we're kind of flat ahead of the open. Jobless claims were relatively flat as well, so not really the easiest trade, and the range is small, and I have to take big size, and that ahead of the open. I'm probably just gonna wait 18 minutes. Yeah, appreciate the love, guys. Thanks. Yeah, I'm just glad slow week was over, man. We had a couple slow weeks. I don't know what to do myself with the slow weeks. Now we're back to kind of normal. Good. Yeah, yesterday we had jolts show up. What is it? Weaker than expected. We had ADP data that showed up weaker than expected as well, but they weren't incredibly weak. I think they expected 50. We should have been like 41 yesterday for ADP data. It's like a prelim payroll report, so they're expecting payrolls to show up tomorrow at about 70,000, I think 71K. Google now pulling back a little bit after going really high this morning in pre-market. Bitcoin is still at under 90. We'll see if we actually hold now. Yeah, I think 20,000 is a level to watch for the NASDAQ. I think, or no, not 20,000. I'm sorry. I think 26,000 is what. You think the NASDAQ's going to dip, what, 20,000? You think we're going down 25? Or, yeah, you think we're going down 20% this year? I don't know. A bit over 20% actually, but you think we're gonna get that big of a drop? Maybe. What do you guys think? Does the NASDAQ have a red or green year this year? Green or red year? All right, guys. Green election year. Yeah, a lot of time election years are green too. 50 right now, green, then terrible recession. On the fence, green, definitely green year. It looks like almost everybody thinks we're gonna have a green year this year. Green, but barely. Midterm year is always red. At least we get some red voters. Bulls are still in control of the poll, 52% right now. At least some people are red. I like to see some diversification in these. Hey, what's up, Mama Pawn? What's up, Tiny? Hope you're doing good, Tiny, as well. Fitch Rating raised its estimate of GDP growth for 2025 and its forecast for growth in 2026. Reliance is also reportedly to consider the purchase of Venezuelan oil. Yeah, so again, U.S. growth forecasts were revised up after the delayed GDP release. They expect U.S. Fed to cut rates twice in the first half of this year, according to Fitch. Think Fed funds rate upper band of 3.25%. I think we're going to cut 2 out of 3. How many meetings do we have in the first half? It's every 6 weeks, so it's roughly every month and a half. So we have 4 meetings this year. They think we're going to cut in 2 out of those 4. What are we thinking, like March and June? I don't think we're going to cut this month. But show you this. Here's Fitch ratings. They raised their estimate for US GDP and its forecast for growth this year, now estimating to have expanded by 2.1% in 2025 compared to a 1.8% forecast in December's. We now forecast growth of 2% in 26 compared to 1.9. Growth in the third quarter was surprisingly stronger than anticipated at 1.1% quarter over quarter, which is an annualized. With upside surprises in consumption, government spending, and net trade, private investment growth was weaker than anticipated, but IT-related investments were still up by 14% year over year, and is contributing significantly to overall GDP growth. Buoyant equity markets are supporting consumer spending, which grew by 0.9% in the third quarter. Consumption has held up surprisingly well despite a slowdown in household income growth through last year's employment growth weakened. The savings ratio fell from 5.1 of income January 25 to 4% in September. CPI inflation trends have been hard to interpret given data. We estimate that inflation rose 3% in December last month, 0.7 in November, and will rise further in 2026, reflecting delayed tariff pass-through, ending the year at 3.2%. So, do you guys agree with them? Is the question. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have a new Black Swan in 2026, maybe, man. We'll see. I think red because I'm a bull, but this year is time to sell good stocks. All right, guys, we got 11 minutes. Never going down again. What was the Alan Greens? What was the Greenspan quote? Irrational exuberance. Yeah, Fed printing an election year. We might have a green year. I don't know. I don't want to find out. Yeah, we're still very slow here, guys. Very slow. And markets leading into the opening bell. We'll see what we get. Majority of people expect markets to go up and then crush, like everything, and also maybe that markets will crush first and then move up. Maybe. I'm curious to see what the tariff decision tomorrow does to markets. In that context, I'm genuinely curious to see what the tariff decision does. I don't know. Really don't know. We had a pretty good week so far this week, day trading. I think we're up. I think we're slightly down on the day, though, but been pretty good trading so far. Tariffs part 2. Yeah, I mean, if they reverse the tariffs, see what that looks like. Yeah. Yeah, the interesting thing is that Fitch expects the U.S. Federal Reserve to cut rates twice in the first half of this year. I don't know, man. Maybe. Um, that basically is them saying they think inflation is going to get better and labor market's going to get weaker. And they might be right. I don't know. We'll see. A lot of the time they try to make the rate cut decisions towards the end of the year, not necessarily at the beginning. Let's see what the opening bell brings, and then I can do a tariff poll at the end of the day. I mean, I'm generally bullish, although I don't really like the space industry is incredibly expensive. It's an industry where I have avoided investing in. Like there used to be a stock SPCE, and this thing was like a big name for a long time. But even when it was so big, I told people I didn't like it, and the reason I told people I didn't like it was because the industry was incredibly expensive. Margins aren't necessarily good, even though SpaceX makes a lot of money. So it's different. But yeah, it's a spaceflight company by Richard Branson, the guy behind Virgin Mobile, and all that stuff. But I just never liked investing in it because I thought it was a hard business to be successful at. Now I think SpaceX is different, but I don't know if it's going to change my tune in regards to investing in space. I don't really like that industry. I think it's hard to. I think there's risks. Is the easiest way to put it. But I think SpaceX also does really well after I checked the numbers recently. Alright guys, 7 minutes here, 7 minutes. Alright guys. Silver's flat. Nasdaq's starting to fall down. It's at 780s ahead of the opening bell in 6 minutes. Don't like space? Yeah, no, listen, I'm not. Look, it's easy to isolate a successful company, to try to discount what I said. And I'm not even arguing against there being successful space companies. For my own risk tolerance, though, is what it is. It's subjective. It's my own risk tolerance. Because of that, I'm not the most interested in investing in them. Just because it's a market I certainly don't know. It's a market that is incredibly expensive and there's a lot of risks. Now there might be some good space companies, and I'm sure SpaceX might be one of them. I'm not 100% sure it's going to succeed, but I mean, obviously SpaceX is one of the biggest, and so probably one of the more resilient ones. But it's just an industry that, just my own risk tolerance. There's certain sectors that I avoid just based off of I want to invest in things I know and understand, and the space industry is definitely not that. And so, it's subjective. All right, so we're bouncing here. The 200 exponential is right here. Look at the 200 exponential. It's right here at 780s. 780s for the 200 EMA. Again, Fitch recently raised their estimate of GDP growth in 25 and forecast growth 2026 next year. Quantum is interesting. I think we've seen quantum stocks kind of settle down, though. Look at Bitcoin now, under 89.5s. Whoa, look at Bitcoin right now, guys. Look at Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin right now. I don't know why it dropped like this. I don't really see anything. Not the biggest drop, but it did crack lows. See if 89.5s holds it down, but weird. See if the 200 exponential holds it up. We got 2.5 minutes left. 2.5 minutes left. All right, guys, 2 minutes. Bitcoin under 89.5s. Silver consolidating. Google up to 328s, testing highs of the day again. 329s, just broke highs of the day for Google again. Pushing towards 330s ahead of the opening bell for Google. Sorry, for Alphabet. What's your read on the VIX? I think the VIX will probably be a little bit quieter ahead of the payroll report, and then once payrolls and the tariff decision drop tomorrow, it's going to potentially wake up. We'll see. I don't know for sure. Hey, thank you, Tiny. Hope you have groovy trading as well. Yeah, Google 330s. Alphabet. I'm sorry, Alphabet. Trying here. The symbol's GOOG. You know, it's kind of hard not to call it by its name. Yeah. "24-hour rule." Yeah, I mean, look, payrolls tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're streaming them out, obviously, like we always do. Tariff decision tomorrow, 10 o'clock. We'll be streaming then for sure, too. We'll cover that as it goes live. Yeah, VIX is just volatility. Usually it's referring to downside volatility. The VIX is generally going to go up when markets go down and volatility rises. There's the opening bell. Again, if it's delayed, hit the live button next to the play button, put it in 2x speed. Look at the NASDAQ react well so far here. See if it holds. NASDAQ up a little bit since the opening bell. Tracing all the way back down quickly, though. Bitcoin under 89.5s again. Silver down to 73.70s for silver. All right, NASDAQ down. NASDAQ drop right at the opening bell. Wow. Again, Fed T-purchase bill. Reserve management accepts 8.165 billion of 65.033 billion submitted. Offer to cover 8.13x. Imbalance data. Negative 49 million plus 8 million on the NASDAQ. Negative 36 million on the Dow plus 8 million on the Mag 7. Nasdaq falling here. Look at this drop. Google dipping down a little bit. You look at the SPY. SPY is down a little bit as well. But kind of a whippy range here. I'm not really interested in doing anything right now. I gotta wait a couple minutes, maybe 4 minutes more until I really want to trade. Maybe 3 minutes. All right, guys. What we get today? 750s now on the Nasdaq. Buy's kind of choppy though and flat since the opening bell. Silver just cracked lows at 73.50 for silver. $750 on the Nasdaq here. I don't want to short it, but I gotta wait at least a couple minutes. Shorted, but I gotta follow my rules. Google giving some of it back is at 325's Alphabet. SPY starting to bounce back. SPY is actually kind of green when the Nasdaq is a little red here since the open. Silver rebounded pretty fast too. Back up to 74. SPY in the S&P moving up. It's at 689 right now, 690s. Or not 690s, 689s. Again, Meta's dropped a lot since the opening bell. Alphabet's pulled back a little bit. Microsoft has dipped as well. Oh, my headphones. Alright, so we're now opening up to where we can probably trade this. Weakness at the opening bell for sure right now. The Nasdaq at least. This thing. Deep red opening bell here, guys. I just turned deep as well. Looks like some bad news, maybe. No, for sure. So far, red open. As I start to creep back up. Red gonna continue, or we're gonna bounce back? I think I didn't buy too much. Put the I just made about $100, but I do buy some. It's right here. Definitely not risk free. Do not copy me. I'm not an investment professional. Add a little bit to it here. Oh, we're gonna half of that off. add to this. Get big drops at 700. Cut it. More off up here. More off up there. Cut it right here. Paid a little bit, basically a flat trade. It didn't give me the big bounce I wanted, so we got to cut that. Also, once we start to look under 700, I don't like it. Look at Bitcoin fighting back, though. Bitcoin almost back up to 9. A lot of these drops are just Alphabet pulling back a little bit after running up so much in pre-market, filling some of the gap. Gotta buy this now. Still green on the day, but I'll probably. Not gonna add to this. I just want to see if we rebound back up. I don't want to see us retest lows too close to the open. So yeah, I gotta cut that. Still very green on the day though, but there's the retest of lows. I don't really want to mess with that. SPY is actually looking kind of bullish here, but we got to watch silver and gold as well. Defense stocks are up as well here. Like I got out just in time too. Where's Nike at? I'm already in Nike at 57s. So I don't think I'm gonna add any more to it. 680 level held though. Bitcoin held right there at 89.5s also. Yeah, check out Top Step. We're day trading on Top Step right now. No PDT rule in future. Day trade the S&P, Nasdaq, Dow, Russell, Gold, commodities. Great way to learn. They recently lowered activation fees. It's a beautiful way to learn how to trade when most day traders lose. I'll put the link up. Great way to help support the channel. Here's the link right here. Again, they're a sponsor of mine. I'm biased, of course, but they're genuinely useful for traders, in my opinion. Check them out. Get this disclaimer out of the way. Where'd it go? There it is. All right. Still breaking down here. Still breaking down. Close to lows for me to short here, but I do see a lot of stuff turning down now. How you guys doing this morning at the opening bell? You guys red or green? I'll do one more poll here today. The poll is going to be... Do you think the Supreme Court should overturn the previous tariffs tomorrow? Let me know. I'm trying to buy this dip now. See how it goes. Got a cushion on the day already. Pops back up quick. Good. We're up a little bit. Cut it. Now we're red on the day for sure, but hang that account up today here. Really depends on what Google. Nike is flying back up. It's at 57.30s. Oh. Oh. Try to trade this one. Look at this drop right here. Why? Look at this. Not small. Let's see if there's any news real quick. A big red candle though. It just depends on. Maybe I'm trading too counter trend today. Look at that. Look at silver. Yeah. Okay. All right, baby. Okay. All right. Hey, bye. Oh, no, it's all right. I was wondering if you were going to step on, but it's okay. Next time.
Online?
Yeah. Yeah, we're still live.
Bitcoin?
Bitcoin?
Yes.
Bitcoin is right here. Down. I don't know. It was at like 90,000. It was up at 92,000. The Nasdaq, look, this Nasdaq dropping right now. But so it's a red open for sure. Well, tomorrow we have payrolls and the tariff decision. The Supreme Court rules on the president's tariffs tomorrow. So if they reverse them, we might get volatility. Yeah.
Have a good day.
Bye bye, Savannah.
See
See you guys.
Bye bye, Savannah. You're a good girl.
Oh, yeah. Say it by me. I
She's
know.
not gonna move.
Bye bye, Savannah. See you guys.
See you.
No, she's good. Hi, Savannah. I love Savannah. Yeah, look at this drop, Scott. Thanks, dude. Market's down big. Ahead of the open. Oh, yeah. No, it's not Carol. This is Markel, my sister-in-law. That was Markel, my sister-in-law. No, Savannah's the dog. I love the dog. Yeah, Savannah's the little pug looking dog. I'll spell it for you. Yeah, market dumped. 25,600 might hold it here. I'm curious to see what's driving this. I think a lot of it is Alphabet. But I'll probably cut out of here. Listen, tomorrow, massive report. Tomorrow, have a huge payroll report tomorrow. It's relevant. It's important. NASDAQ is filling some of the gap on the downside now. Look at it. But yeah, big payroll report tomorrow, guys. Just be ready. It's relevant. $8:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, and then the tariff decision is supposed to be at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I just want to short this though. I think I'm gonna leave it alone. About 680s. Rejecting a little bit here. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I want to say good luck to everyone after the tariff decision is released. It'll be a historic one way. Yeah, I've just been getting beat up this morning trying to day trade. It hasn't worked out very well. It's okay. I might be able to reset some of my Combine account. All right. We'll switch to Combine today. How many resets? Gotta be used up. All right, we'll trade. All right. So, that work? A reset. Hold on, guys. I guess this is one. I don't know for sure here. I'm gonna go big. Kind of trading against moment, but we can horse around with this. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's almost back up to 9. This is a combine, by the way. I'm not risking it. 4 a.m.? Oh, you must be overseas, brother. I'm in the U.S. It is 9 a.m. my time, 10 a.m. market time. There we go. Take some of this off up here. There we go. I'm out. We waited. It worked. I don't know how much I'm up. Gotta be a lot. Oh, we're up 1,100. Buy some more. Yeah, check out Top Step. That's what I'm trading on today. No PDT, we're on the future. Great way to learn. Oh, New Zealand. Nice. I'll buy 650s down here. And way too big than I want. But I'm up over 1,000, so that's okay. Got some of this. If I get back up here. Oh. I didn't lose as much as I could have. I cut a lot of it off once we got back up there. Wait. Alright, I'm just gonna be done for the day. We got a very green day here. We're still up. What do we? Oh. 700 or so. So I'll get out of here. Hey, y'all be good. Have a great day. Tomorrow, labor report. Biggest report of the year so far. Y'all be good. Have a great day. Love to all of you guys. Again, 8:30 tomorrow, be here. Because, you know, I'll set the latency right now on the stream to nothing. And, yeah. Be ready. See you guys then.